Welcome back to the Unfleshed podcast. This is episode 15, and please welcome Ted Nulty.
Good afternoon, folks. How are you
Thanks
doing?
for joining us up here, Ted.
Thank you for having me.
So, when exactly did you really start writing?
I started writing right when I retired in 2012, and I did just to stop. If you're not making money, you're spending money in my house. So I was kind of a hobby. And, that's when I first started writing my first two books: a crime fiction novel called The Locker, and my personal spin on the zombie apocalypse, which is the Gone Feral series.
Well, I've actually read the Gone Feral book 1. I still need to get into book 2. Which, so that was actually based through zombies. I guess what kind of got you into that?
Oh, I've been a B and C horror movie fan ever since I was a little kid, and so but I wanted to write a realistic zombie book on how it could actually happen, and so I was sitting in the Elephant Bar with a couple of my Jarhead buddies. Our unit had a reunion, and the news came on about the guy in Florida who had taken the bath salt, was naked and eating the other guy on the freeway overpass. And so I looked up there and I thought, God, that's so crazy. And one of my Marines looked at me and said, that's my worst nightmare. And he works as he's the water safety engineer for the county of San Diego. And he started telling me how today these garage chemists can make up a compound that's just one or two molecules or atoms off from what the CDC publishes twice a week. And he said they could slip that stuff into our water and people would go crazy. And I looked at him like it couldn't happen, but I did a little bit of research and it actually could. And so from there, I went up to the EOC at Camp Pendleton, which is where we game out our anti-terrorism scenarios, and we gamed out the entire thing, and that's what I based the storyline, the plot off of.
Yeah, that's cool. And you definitely have a different approach to zombies, is more than any of the other ones I've actually read. So I was actually very psyched whenever I started reading yours.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I tried to, I took a little bit of my author, my literary license. I tried to make it so that the chemical could be spread through a bite, and I tried to, in keeping with the zombie theme, the pain receptors are dulled, so that you kind of have to shoot them in the head. I was trying to make them as close to traditional zombies as possible, but I still wanted it to be feasible, and so that's kind of what I came up with.
Cool.
How would you rate your difference between the other zombie books or what have you out there? Like, how would you rate your difference upon really shedding light? I mean, just give me a brief.
There's some of the other authors out there are so phenomenal. They're great. I mean, they're just great. I mean, I came into this and, I just kind of wanted to do it. I've been a huge fan for so long. And, so, you look at John O'Brien's work and Sean Chesser and some of those guys, TJ writes great horror. And, I mean, totally humble. I'm totally, jazzed sometimes when I get included in the groups with these other authors. I still consider myself to be a newbie.
Well, if it means anything at all, but I've seen your name thrown out there anyways on social media, so that's a plus. And that's a good thing. So
yeah, so far, the books are doing great. My publisher, I just got picked up by a publisher, so Gone Feral has just been re-released under the Stealth Books logo. So I'm just now coming into, now that I'm published by an actual house, and I'm starting to come into it a little bit. It's a lot slower. It was easier as an indie author when I could just type it up, slap it into Kindle, and be good. But I was pretty lacking in professionalism back then. I didn't get full edits done and some other stuff, and so now it's taking a lot longer to get the books out. But I'm really enjoying writing the series.
What publishing house did you sign with?
SWG Stealth Writers Group, which is the group that Tom Clancy had founded. It's his group of guys that do military fiction, and they actually read my book, The Locker. They liked it, and they recruited me. But then they all fell in love with Gone Feral. They thought that was just the greatest thing ever, and because it has such a military slant to it, they picked the book up, and so I got a 5-book contract out of them.
Sweet. And you actually have a new release that's kind of pending right now. Anything on that?
The Other Side of Me is in editing right now. It's the same Gone Feral series. It's just it's set down in Mississippi. It's set in the South, and it involves the main character is both a good guy and a bad guy. He's a pastor in a church who gets poisoned by the toxin and becomes the worst bad guy ever. I mean, he's running out and he's killing all kinds of people and stuff, and then there's 2 groups of survivalists that meet, or survivors that meet, and so far my beta readers have come back with very positive response. So as soon as we get that out of editing, the cover artwork is done again, and it's all ready to go. So I'm just waiting for approval on that.
Awesome.
So you have this love of zombies. I'm going to pick your brain like I try to do with any author that we have on this podcast. What is your favorite zombie movie and why?
Oh, the new. Well, I really like 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later. I really liked both of those, and I like fast, threatening zombies. I like the ones that stagger around and moan and groan are good, but I like something that can I like the challenge, I guess, and so I like the 28 Days series. I loved Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, the newer ones, all of those. So anything with a fast zombie in it, but yeah, 28 Days Later was my ideal zombie flick.
Well, and on zombies, I guess this really won't be kind of giving anything away because this is actually part of your synopsis. But you actually bring to where animals are kind of going crazy. So, I mean, kind of, what was your take on that?
Oh, I wanted it to be the most dangerous environment. I'm a Marine, so I kind of like a challenge, and so I thought, anything that would affect mammals should affect the mammals around them. So in my book, the grizzly bears, the household dogs, everything, it becomes a threat. It doesn't. I have cats and rats, and between all of my books, pigs. In The Other Side of Me, the feral pigs that have been running around Texas and Louisiana become ultra dangerous because they're already pretty dangerous creatures as it stands, but with the chemical in them, they become far more aggressive and far more dangerous. So anything, like I said, anything to make the environment a little more challenging is good in my book.
Well, I have to say, I think that's awesome that you put animal aspects into that environment of your writing. I think that's cool. I think a lot of people, for me personally, you think zombie, you think human form. You don't go outside the box and think of animals or anything like that. So I think that's very, very unique in itself. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, I thought it was and I kind of went through a little thing. Well, what would happen? Say in The Other Side of Me, they have this herd of feral pigs that comes and keeps trying to break in. Not only are they worrying about the zombies, they're worrying about the pigs digging up the fences. And so they shoot the pigs, and I said, well, what are they going to do with them? Well, they drag them out in the swamp and leave them to the gators. And so I actually put a part in there where, one of the guys says, well, have you ever seen an alligator that wasn't pissed off? So, he said the reptiles aren't really affected by it. And so I had a good time. It was fun writing that aspect into the book. But like I said, if you're going to make something dangerous, you might as well make it dangerous for everybody, and and then let the cards fall where they may.
Awesome. Yeah, I applaud that though.
Oh,
That's a lot of thought process, in my opinion. So.
Well, and does that make it a lot harder, I guess, for you? Because most books, it concentrates mainly on your certain characters, but you're bringing in your certain characters, which everybody loves. Plus, I mean, it's almost, I guess, to a point to where each of your animal is like a character of its own. I mean, you have to kind of, I guess, build and adapt to each and every one of those.
I actually do. It's funny because one of the dogs. I write from the dog's perspective in one chapter. One of the dogs gets really upset that he keeps getting locked inside because there's this toxin out in the environment, and so his owner doesn't want to lose him. So he's keeping the dog inside, keeping him from getting bit by these other animals, and the dog is getting upset that he thinks he's done something wrong. So I kind of wrote from the dog's perspective, but it was funny. I got a review on Goodreads from somebody who said, Mr. Nulty doesn't concentrate on any one character. He brings them all in and gives them life. And it was a very positive, very inspiring review. And I thought, well, that's the way we should. All the characters should be developed like that. And I have to, and again, I'm going to mention John O'Brien. I'm going to spend more time pumping. He goes in and he'll have 5 or 6 characters that are always well developed and shining out. And I really did use him as an inspiration when I started writing, making sure that all of the characters and even the dog and other stuff all get kind of brought to life. I was hoping to generate that vision in the reader's mind.
Yeah, that's definitely awesome, and yeah, I've definitely heard of many of those authors. And you're also pretty good friends with Mark Tufo, which actually was also Marines.
Yes, he's a fellow jarhead. Yeah, poor Mark. I owed him an apology from. I told my cover artist. I said, we're going to use a quote from Heath Stallcup. Again, he wrote one of the best ghost stories I've ever read, Whispers. And we were going to. And I said, well, make a line on the cover for an author quote. And Dave, my cover artist, is a huge fan of Mark Tufo, so he just made up a quote and stuck it on there just to show me. Well, when we went to actually produce the cover, instead of Heath's quote going on the book, this random thing that was made up went on there, and all of a sudden I get this message from Mark. He said, "Hey, I never said that," and I was like, "Holy," and it was a mistake, but so I had to eat some crow and apologize for that, but it's all in good fun, and Mark Tufo's a phenomenal zombie writer as well. I enjoy his work. I was reading his stuff before I started writing.
And I haven't really read any of his zombie based. I started on some of his, the Lycan Fallout series, and that's about as far as I've gone so far. But in the writing industry, it's really hard to be able to sit down with someone else's book because you're staying busy. So it's almost hard for me to sit down and really just take a book and go from start to end in any kind of fast motions.
Yeah, well, see, that's part of my problem too. Is I'm such an avid reader. I read just tons of stuff. I would love to be a sci-fi. I would love to write science fiction. I've got a ton of ideas banging around in my head. I would love to write a Bolo book, Keith Laumer's Bolo series about the intelligent tanks. In the future, I would love to write one of those books. And, as well as some other, sci-fi / horror stuff with alien monsters. And, but I also want to, after reading Heath Stallcup's Whispers, I wanted to write a Western as well. So, like I said, when you've got as much BS floating around in your noggin as I do, I just want to kind of, write everything. So, except for romance, you guys can count me out for the romance stuff.
Hey man, I have to agree with you on that. Romance and erotica out the door.
I'm right firmly in that boat. So, it was, I actually entered one of my fans on Facebook challenged me to write a romantic paragraph, and I did, and I got like 50 women that came back and said, "Oh, write some more," and it was just crazy. I couldn't believe, so I said, no, I'm not a romance writer. It's just not going to happen. So, And,
So you won't go outside the box then, yeah?
Well, like I said, sci-fi, horror, and crime fiction. Unfortunately, my best-selling book, The Locker, is what makes me the most money. It makes me just incredible. I'm about every 8 or 9 days, I'll sell 1,500 copies, which is not bad at all. I'm doing really good with that book. So that's so it's crime fiction is my moneymaker. I've just decided that's where I'll make my money, but I'll use that to support my writing habit when I go into horror or any other genre. So
when you say 1,500, are you saying like in the ebook fashion or the paperback?
that's all revenue streams. It depends. That's Kindle Unlimited. No, well now they do that by KENP thing, but it's Kindle downloads, Slam books, Create Space. I don't sell too many off of that. I do a ton of business when slamming my books, which is having a small using the smaller print houses. Instead of Create Space costs quite a bit to have your books made and printed and sent to you. But so I do quite a bit through internet sales but that's all revenue streams. So yeah, usually 1,500 a week or so is it, and 95% of that is my crime fiction. So
Heck yeah. Well, how would you, I guess, kind of look at the aspects between your ebooks and your paperback? Like, which one do you prefer and why?
Oh, I love holding a book. I love Kindle. I have the Kindle app on my iPad, and I really love Kindle. It's just the easiest form to read. But I think pretty soon. I think there needs to be kind of an author revolution because we really are. There's when you look at BookSends and Kobo and some of those other promotion sites, they tell you, hey, you have to reduce the cost of your book down to 99 cents if you want to promote, and people are looking for a good deal. And it really is true. Somebody will go out and they'll spend $5-6 for a cup of coffee at Starbucks, and yet they won't buy a book, which, it took me a year to write my book. It's taken me almost 9 months to write The Other Side of Me. I mean, it's a lot of time and effort to put together a book, and yet they're telling me that it's only worth 99 cents on ebook, and, I think there's going to be a change here pretty soon. God bless Amazon for allowing people to self-publish, and a lot of good work is getting out there that would have never gotten out there, through the other 5 houses.
I have to absolutely agree with you 100%. And I really do hope there is change down the road because it is a lot of work. You just said, I mean, you spent. I don't think a lot of readers understand that of how much you put into writing and the creation and scrapping aside other things you want to do because you're trying to do the best you can with your book. And I frown upon the whole 99-cent thing. I really do. I see. Well, you see it all the time as well, Ted.
Yes.
Across the board on social media, 99 cent or free. I have a hard time with that. I mean, so I'm glad you brought that up.
Amazon pushes that, and Amazon kind of expects you to put out your first 2 or 3 novels virtually for free and develop a reader base, and then start charging $3.99 for a novel or whatever, But they're expecting you. They're kind of putting the cart before the horse. They're saying, hey, put your novel out there, sell it for free or for 99 cents, get a whole bunch of people reading it, and if your work is good, well, then maybe you can start, charging more. But, I have 978 reviews across 7 review sites. That's Amazon Reviews, Goodreads, the ebook library. I have and out of those 978 reviews for all of my books, I average a 4.8 star rating, which is
That's good.
good, and yet and that's 978 reviews. So that's not just getting my neighbor, my girlfriend, my 2 kids, and my dog to review my work and give it 5 stars. I have people. This last Comic-Con here in San Diego, I had people that came all the way from New York and Florida and Texas, and brought their books. When I had posted that I was going to be at the Comic-Con, they brought their books for me to sell, and yet I still trying to get traction or get advertising. Book Sends, will run my stuff, but Book Reads, I'm trying to think. There's a couple of sites, but they say no, you're not big enough. You don't have enough of a following for us to promote you. And so in that sense of the word, and the same thing with Amazon. Amazon says, write your books, make them for free, and get your people out there. And I just don't agree with that. I think people that are working hard, if you're putting good work out there, you should be compensated for it. I'm not saying you should be charging $7.99 for a 150-page short story or medium length novel, but
I so have to agree with you on that.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, but there's no need for thank you. I just don't think many other people realize that shit, I made a post on social media not long ago about the whole freebie and 99-cent shit. Where do you take pride in your work, I got some backlash from it, but, it is one of those things that, I just can't see putting forth the effort and the work in doing something just to be like, here you go, so you can, grab a fan or 2 or whatever. I don't give a shit.
Well, yeah, I agree. I agree. I did Book Sends. I did run one of my books for 99 cents on Book Sends, and I sold 438 copies that day. For 99 cents, and that really kind of gave me a little bit of heartache, but at least I was moving the units. And then I picked up maybe another 300 units the next day, and this was several months ago. So now I kind of got it, but it's not something I'm going to do regularly, and I sure as heck can't do it. For social on Facebook, there's probably 25 or 30 readers groups out there that have readerships in the 20,000 numbers for group membership, and so those websites are the best for promoting on Facebook. But if you have to drop your price to 99 cents every time, what does that give? That gives you 36 cents, right?
Yeah. It's the way I look at it. It's a double-edged sword. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, and on that, because everybody's always searching for some kind of media or some kind of marketing tool. What have you found that's actually worked the best for you?
Well, like I said, Book Sends, we've run some Book Sends ads, and those have gotten me the most actual sales. And then I posted up. I kind of took a unique approach to my marketing because all of my books have a pretty hardcore military slant or Marine Corps slant. And I was lucky. The Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps I went to boot camp with him. So what I did was I mailed a copy of The Locker to the current Commandant of the Marine Corps, the current Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, and I put nasty letters in there to both of them. And I said, hey, this is my book. You better read it, and you better like it. And I sent them some swag. I don't know if you've ever seen, I have different knives engraved with the titles of my books. I have different folding knives, and just I have some pretty cool swag. So I sent that off to him, and I got a letter back from the Commandant of the Marine Corps, and he said, this is great. Can I add it to my recommended reading list? And I said, absolutely. Well, so he puts it out on the recommended reading list. So then I went to the book distributor for the Navy exchanges, and I said, hey, look, my book is on the recommended reading list. Why don't you carry it? And Amazon actually has a program where if you have their sales reps will do bulk sales to distributors under contract. and that's where I think the majority of my sales came from. Is but that was kind of like backdoor marketing. I had an in with somebody who was in a position to get my name out there, and I did that. And then my regular day job, I own a security bodyguard service, and I do a lot of celebrities. I'm friends with a lot of celebrities, and I've had them just tweet my book, and that has made a huge difference too. So
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I really couldn't even tell you the best marketing technique that I use. A lot of people, and almost any interview that I do, people ask me about that, and they always talk about my fans, and yeah, they're all kind of they're huge followers, and they definitely share my work, but I really have nothing on that. Like I've never asked anyone to share it, so the facts that everyone do, I think, is awesome. But yeah, I've just
shameless. I did security for Steven Tyler last year, and I said, and I built him a custom gun. I'm in the middle of building it right now, and I told him, I said, I'm going to build you this gun. I said, but you're going to tweet my book. So and he has almost 200 million followers worldwide. So one tweet from him, and the next day I'm selling 1,500-1,600 books. It's,
yeah.
I mean, so, people, and it's kind of crazy that they have that power, it's not really a power, but it's, that social impact, you just get somebody to put it out there. Casper Van Dien, the guy who was in Starship Troopers, I don't know if you're familiar with him. Yeah, so he put it out there. He tweeted it for me, and the next day, I see this huge sales spike. I see an extra 1,800 units or whatever. So it's kind of cool. But again, that's because I work in an industry where I'm exposed to people that have that kind of. They have enough followers and enough social impact. So because if I was left on my own to do marketing, if I didn't have a couple backdoor ins, I probably would have sold 5 copies to date. Well,
I look at it like pretty much like you're saying. On my end, anyways. Don't want to talk about a whole lot. I want to get back onto you and your work and everything. But it's like I have all these co-workers and friends and family members. None of them have bought my shit, and that's fine. That's fine. It's not their genre or whatever. But I guarantee you, if I did have a backdoor or an outside source or some form of marketing, and my name was getting thrown out there a little bit, then all of a sudden they want to get on board. How do you deal? Here's my question: how would you deal with something like that?
It's funny because I probably the hardest. It's people good on. There's a couple writer groups on Facebook, and they go, "Oh, if you only got 12 reviews, that's just his family and friends." The toughest people to get reviews out of, I have found, have been my family and friends. I'm like, hey, did you put up a review? No. So it's kind of weird, but the trying to get, they say that you should get about 1 review per 1,000 copies sold. I think that's way. If I could get 1 review for every 1,000 copies of my books out there, I'd have a lot more than what I've got. So it's tough. It's tough, but I'm not really pushing so much for the reviews now. Now that I have enough to where, like I said, BookSends will advertise for me and some other stuff. I really don't care. I care very much for people when they criticize my work, because I learn from it. I appreciate my 1-star and 2-star reviews far more than I appreciate my 4- and 5-star reviews. Simply because, in one instance, this lady sent me a horrible review. She said, he's an idiot, he doesn't know what he's doing, he needs to edit. And what had happened was I had accidentally uploaded a working file to Kindle, and I just clicked on the wrong file to upload when I was browsing doing my upload, and it was an unedited work, and it actually was. I took that as a great, help. I had no idea that I had uploaded a bad file.
And I feel like that's what a lot of people don't understand is, It doesn't matter if it's a good review or a bad review. It's just fact of leaving a review. A bad review can help you out way more than a good review can any day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
you've never really taken anything negative as a, obviously it hasn't stopped you, but reading it, you're always kind of pretty positive outlook guy is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not going to just stop you from writing or anything like that, which it shouldn't.
Well, no, but I'll tell you what, the very first time when I was putting my query letters out, when I was trying to get published, the very first person I sent a query letter to sent me back a horrible response. I thought it was the most unprofessional thing that had ever been sent. I followed, they have, a lot of times when you query a publishing house or you query an agent, they have very specific guidelines on how you format your submission. It's an email, you cut and paste, certain things into it, your synopsis, your elevator pitch, and the first 50 pages, and so this guy named, we'll call him Mr. E, because I don't want to name anybody, but he sent me back this horrible email saying, your prose is wooden and stilted, you write like a beer-gutted middle American, and, it's like you're writing for a movie, and it was this horrible response. He could have just said, hey, we don't think your work is a good fit for our publishing company, and left it go at that. But instead, he went out of his way to really try and denigrate me personally. And, I didn't think that there was any place to be calling somebody a beer-gutted middle American. I don't even know how, to be honest with you, I'm kind of a beer-gutted West Coast American, but, But I didn't think so. It was horrible. But for a month I shut down after that. I thought, you know what? Screw this guy. I'm going to go out and I'm still going to try. And literally a couple weeks later, I had people giving me positive responses to my queries, and and I got over it. But I can see how some people on their very first query, if they get a response like that, where they shut down and think, oh my God, my writing is horrible. Because I really did. All my friends had read the story and said, "Oh my God, you have to get this out there and get it published." And so it's difficult trying to get into a publishing house. It's tough. So but like I said, it's the internet. If anybody wants to write something bad, it's not worth getting mad over. I'll just go out, I write a book, and I still got guys like T.J. Weeks putting my work out there, telling me I'm doing okay. So I'm feeling good.
Oh,
and before TJ asks you a question, this is a good time now. Do what I consider the shout out segment. So I'm going to ask you a topic, Ted Nulty, and it's not a question; it's just a topic, and we're looking for a response. The topic I want to give you, Ted Nulty, will be women shaving.
Absolutely, especially facial hair. So, I can live with hairy legs, but when their mustache or beard is bigger than mine, it's got to go. I'm 100% for women shaving. So, am I allowed to do this in a sarcastic tone? I hope.
Definitely.
Yeah. The shout it out is just straight up shout it out. You talk about whatever you want to on that topic.
Yeah. Well, growing up with a sister and a mother who had bigger beards than me. No, I'm kidding. See, now we sound like dwarves or whatever. No, women shaving. Please do. I like a smooth skinned guy, so I'm 100% in favor of women shaving, and I have no problem if a woman, as long as she's asking, I grow wire, I don't grow hair. My beard will dull a razor in 2 shaves, so I kind of am understanding when they don't want to, just as long as, I'm not dealing with a bristle brush in any particular anatomical region, I'm good. So.
Well, to kind of go back on your kind of like the whole bad reviews and stuff like that, have you ever got a personal message from anybody that kind of downgraded your work?
Yeah, I've had some personal attacks. Well, like I said, the first response that I got from a query letter was kind of personal. I've had 2 other people message me on. Well, I've had a couple of people. I had one lady on a writers group come in and really make a personal attack on me, and I try not to get into angry contests, or well, you can't really call them shouting matches, but I try not to get involved in negative stuff on Facebook. But this gal was just slaying me, telling me that I didn't understand what a character arc was, and that I was an idiot and I shouldn't write, and I was starting to kind of back off. I was feeling kind of intimidated, and then one of my fans hopped on and said, "Hey, lady, you published one book back in 1987, and it only sold 24 copies, and the only review is one that you left yourself." And so I was, and that was very, heartening for me that a fan actually stuck up for me, because I really, I don't think there's a good road. If an author takes stuff personally and starts getting down in the muck with people that like to rake muck, then you're gonna wind up down there, and people are gonna see that. So I try to remain positive. I try to, respond, and instead of, being too much of a jerk, I'll respond with sarcasm or humor if I can. And like I said, I'm a Marine. I'm amphibious. I got alligator skin, and I let that stuff roll off my back.
And also, thank you for your service. From being in the military.
Well,
I have to agree. Thank you, by the way. I mean, you guys, TJ as well, that have served. I mean, we wouldn't be where we are without you guys and the women too that serve and give us our freedom for what it is.
My pleasure. I got to admit, I have the best Marine Corps career anybody. Now, TJ, were you in the Corps too?
I was in the Army.
Okay. I was I went into the Marine Corps, and I never grew up. I mean, they let me spend my entire time, doing just cool stuff. If any of you guys check out my Facebook page, I mean, you'll see they let me jump out of airplanes and blow stuff up. I mean, I do stuff. It's funny because my kid pays money to do a video game of stuff that I got to really do in real life. So, for me, it was just I had an awesome ride. I worked with some of the greatest people in the world. Like I said, I sweat and I bled, but I never spent a day at work in the Marine Corps. I got to go into a job that was just so fun. I got to be a kid. I literally got to be a kid my entire career.
Shit, I got to spend a career of hurry up and wait.
Well, there was some of that. I admit, there was quite a bit of that. But once you get into, I was an air wing. I was a pogue. I was an air wing pogue, but I got assigned to Delta Company, 4th Reconnaissance Battalion. So here I am, this non-infantry MOS, serving with these hardcore guys, that are recon guys, and they're, so it was a haze fest. They really, I did a lot more push-ups than anybody else for sure. But like I said, I really enjoyed it. They sent me to some great schools, and I worked with some really just awesome people. It's sad that we're losing so many of them now, but I loved my job.
So you jumped out of a plane, yeah?
I jumped out of several.
Oh my God! Your first experience of that, did it scare the shit out of you?
It's kind of funny. It didn't really, because it was, of course, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna have to push this guy out." I was like, "No, you're not gonna have to." But I actually, for my daughter, for her 18th birthday, my oldest daughter lost her leg to cancer, and after she lost her leg, I actually took her out skydiving, and she's actually got my jump wings. So.
I'm sorry to hear about your daughter. She doing well? I mean, obviously, yeah, but that's cool that you did that for her,
So I've taken her scuba diving. She's fully, she's recon qualified. She scuba dives. She jumps out of airplanes. We're ready to send her to war. She's missing a leg, but what the heck?
Ted, you're definitely a lot more ballsy than I am. I got to where I could have, went through airborne and air assault, and I was just like, I'm just not jumping out of a perfectly good airplane. Unless we're nosedive down and I see, that the engine's on fire, it's just not happening.
It's a good time as long as you're not, pulling hard. It's, now it's, we have Skydive San Diego out here. My buddy owns it, and I jump with a bunch of my friends. I grew up in Coronado. I have a lot of contacts in the Naval Special Warfare community, so I go down and hang out with those guys, and they're really good. And they take care of my kid. though she enjoyed it. She's
So you guys still jump?
Oh God, I haven't jumped in what, babe? I haven't jumped in 5-6 years. So I'm perfectly good with throwing my kid out of an airplane. I'm like you, TJ, man. I'd much rather be flying them. I'll shove my kid out the door, no problem.
Oh yeah. Well, even on the diving experience, I've had many opportunities, but yeah, man, I've seen too much of Jaws and too much of Shark Week.
Oh yeah. It's fun. I actually had a great white encounter. I still think I psyched myself out. I was out swimming one day. I was training for a triathlon, and I was swimming off the beach in Coronado, and all of a sudden I felt this swirling around my legs, and so I stopped and I froze and I kind of looked around. I didn't see anything, and then I swam into shore, and then I finished my run. I used to carry my shoes in a sealed bag, and Coronado's a pretty flat, straight stretch of beach. I'd go in at North Beach and swim down to the Hotel Del and come in, and then I'd jog around the island. And so anyways, I get home, and my sister goes, "Oh my God, were you out swimming just now?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Come see the news." And this fishing boat that had been out, and I'd seen it when I was out in the water, had come in, and they had caught this 16-foot great white, literally like 2 hours before, and it freaked me out because I'm like, "Oh my God, that was a great white," and it could have been anything. It could have been a seal. I don't even know, but it freaked me. I wouldn't go in the water for almost a year. Scared the bejesus out of me.
Well, my first experience was with him being on a beach was watching Jaws. Well, we watched Jaws out in the hotel before we actually even went to the beach. So that kind of done it for me.
Well, see, that's getting your motivation up, So
Not me. I don't have no motivation. I'm not getting into the damn ocean. I can promise you that. Mr. Ted Nulty, what do you find to be the absolute toughest part of writing?
Oh God, editing. Going through. I'm an atrocious speller, and the fact, my brain runs at 1,000,000 miles an hour, but my fingers only type at like 12 words a minute. So my head's 3 paragraphs ahead of where my fingers are, and so I am. That's it. And then I don't have a problem with writer's block because I'm always writing or working on 2 or 3 writing projects at once. And so if one of them is jamming me up or I'm kind of not feeling it, I'll just switch to another project. And I'll be like, oh, I'll work on this for a while, and then if that doesn't work, I get up, I kick the cat, beat the wife, and go out the door and say, screw it, I'm going to work, and then I go to my regular day job. So.
Well, hey, real quick, things that I've actually seen on your Facebook. You got robbed not too long ago.
Oh yeah. I do high risk security stuff, and a guy tried to carjack me, and I was so excited because I was going to be this is my first time to actually be a victim of a robbery. And this guy comes up and he reaches into my car and he grabs me and he goes, "Give me the keys, get out of the car." And I looked at him and I go, "Oh my God, are you trying to carjack me?" So I grabbed his arm and hit the gas pedal and drug him 2 blocks down, and by the time, and he's screaming for me to let him go, and I was about halfway to the freeway. I was going to take him for a ride. So I was so excited I was going to be the victim of a crime, and then I let him go and stuck my gun in his eyeball, and he gave up. It was over, but.
I mean, you actually, what was I think your phone got broke during that time or something?
Yes, I lost my phone because I'm a nudge. I thought the phone had fallen inside the car because when I called the police to report the crime, my Bluetooth was on my car was still connected, and so I thought my phone had just fallen between the seat or something. So I kept using it, but apparently it fell outside the car, and then I drove away. And my Bluetooth stopped working, and anyway, so that's the second time I've lost my phone like that. Back when I was working in law enforcement, one time I tackled a suspect, and my phone popped off my utility belt, and then the suspect that I wrestled another 20, 30 feet down the alleyway before I finally got him on the ground and got him in bracelets, and I looked back up the alleyway, and this homeless guy walks over, picks up my phone, looks at me and goes, "Hey, thanks," and turns and jogs out of the alleyway. And I was furious. I'm like, "Hey, stop!" And there was nothing I could do because I'm sitting on top of a suspect. And so then I had to call Long Beach Police Department and say, "Hey, I just got robbed by a homeless guy. He took my phone and he ran away." And so their unit pulls up, and I needed a case number in order to activate my phone insurance and turn the tracking thing on. And so this Long Beach police officer pulls up, and I'm standing there. I'm wearing my vest. I have my rifle, and it says Federal Agent Police, and I've got guns and flashbangs hanging off of me, the whole 9 yards. And I go, "Yeah, and I sounded like a 2-year-old going, 'He took my phone.'" The guy just laughed at me, and he goes, "Really?" And he had taken it down to one of those phone kiosks that you sell your phone back for $10,
Yeah.
And so he got his $10 out of me, and boy, I was, so I'm not good with my cell phone.
Well, real quick, you want to tell everybody where they can find you?
Oh, I'm on Facebook, Ted Nulty Author, and I have a website, tednultyauthor.com, and my books and swag are for sale on there. Any book that they buy through my website, I will sign. If there's a note on the website, they can leave me a note. So even if they want it, say you want to buy it for a friend and have it shipped, I will sign it. I'll follow any instructions you give me. I'm a good Marine. So if they say, "Hey, make it out to my nephew, John Umpty Frats," that's who I'll sign it and ship it to. So they can go through tednultyauthor.com for all of my books. And I'm getting ready to run a promo on Horror Geeks. As soon as The Other Side of Me releases, I'll be giving away, swag and books and anything else. So that's it. Thank you very much for letting me plug that.
No, very welcome. And anyways, it was really nice having you on the show. We're actually a little over our time limit, but
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good.
No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. We enjoy talking to authors and stuff like that. So
just edit me out. We're good.
No.
We're good.
No. We were glad to have you on our show and taking your time to do so. So.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. And I got to put a shout out. TJ's always promoting other authors. I mean, it's a really good thing that he's doing. So, and I've put him up on my page before, and I really think if more indie authors were out there promoting other folks, we'd be getting a little bit more traction. So,
I have to agree.
Well, thank you, and I definitely agree with that as well.
Burn you to the ground. 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 Burn you